I'm Oprah Winfrey.
And today on the program, the king of the Cowboys has ridden up our TV Hill Trail. Roy Rogers will be here in just a little while.
But first, have a riddle for you. What uses 100 jars of baby food a week and uses over 200 diapers? Either a very giant baby or the Granata, the 4 Granata babies. They're all here on People Are Talking. Eric, Amanda, Heather, and Nathan.
And Mama Janice.
And
Let's
Mama
welcome
Janice.
her to People Are Talking. Well, I tell you, we're very excited to talk to you. I have 3 kids. They were born at different times, and I can't imagine what it's like to go into the hospital to have a baby or babies and to find out you had 5. What was that like?
Well, I was prepared by about 3 weeks. When I was 3 months pregnant, the doctor did a sonogram and saw 3 babies, and we were told we had triplets. And then at 5 months, he said I was just too big for 3 babies and did an x-ray and said that we had 5. So
how'd you feel about that when you found out?
Well, I was shocked. It was the type of thing you read about or something that happens to other people, but I was really, really shocked.
And so too, because you had been trying to have a baby and you'd started on a fertility drug. Is that right?
1 month.
1 month you've been on it. It worked.
It did.
It worked 5 times over. And you have a daughter, Jenny.
Yes.
And she is now 8. She'll be 9, she tells me, on June the 18th. Beautiful young little girl, and you're going to meet her in just a little while, along with some of the kids that are here. Tell us what happened after they were born and the progress and lack of it in one case.
Okay, well, they were born when I was 6 months pregnant, so they were 3 months early. They were born by cesarean. All the babies weighed under 2 pounds except for Britton, the baby that died.
Our audience doesn't know that happened. What did happen?
He was our firstborn baby, first of the 5. He weighed 2'3", and his lungs were just too immature to support life. His lungs were the least developed of all 5 of them, and he lived for 2 days. They were all in an intensive care unit, all hooked to wires and everything for a long time.
When your babies are born that prematurely, what is the risk involved for all of them? Because that seems very early.
60% is what they gave us. The chances of them surviving were 60%.
So 3 weeks preparation you had in knowing that you had 5 babies here. Once you find out that you have 5 babies, what starts going through your mind? I mean, you're living in a house, you're not prepared for 5 children. We want to know what you and your husband had to go through. You start thinking about moving or what? Well,
in the beginning, we were planning on going overseas after the babies were born, when we thought there were only triplets with my husband's work. So I found out there were 5 babies, and then I was put in the hospital for the rest of my pregnancy, which we had hoped would be a couple more months anyway. So there was not much planning we could do. There was really nothing that we could do until after they were born, and we saw, you know, if they survived and how many survived. So we didn't make any preparations. And then after they were born, it was just totally, it wasn't at all what we expected.
What was not what you expected?
Well,
tell us all about that.
Well, first we have 5 babies, and we named them. We selected names for them the night before they were born, and my husband went downstairs in the hospital to park the car where it belonged or something, and he was just mobbed by media. And we weren't expecting that. We thought, well, you know, it was unusual, but we didn't know that.
Well, we do get our noses into busy things, don't we? Other people's business sometimes.
You picked the names before you knew how many were going to be boys or how many girls. You just had a list of names.
We listed 1 through 5 boys, 1 through 5 girls. Picked them that way.
All right, so what else beside the media? He didn't like that attention, or was it something?
Well, he didn't mind. It was just different. I mean, nobody knew us before, and now, you know, I don't have to show a driver's license to write a check in our hometown. So
you became famous.
Well, I guess a little.
Well, now look at this picture here. I'm sure these are just so beautiful children. 4 of the Quints and Jenny, who's going to be up here in a little while. When you go home from the hospital with, look at that group, and the husband George, of course, who could not be here today. He's out trying to earn some money.
To pay for all that baby food.
But I can't imagine what it is like to go home from the hospital with Oh, I guess some of them stayed back for a while.
Yeah, all of them
But
did.
when they started to come home, once all of them were there, what was that like in your house?
Oh.
What changed for you beside your entire life?
Yeah, everything. Well, when we first brought one baby home, Eric was the first baby home, and it was 2.5 months, and it was exciting and wonderful, and we got him home, and it was like bringing any baby home, I guess, except we stayed up all night and watched him. Then when we brought the second baby home, things got a little bit hectic, getting up all night with them. And then when we brought the third baby home, I cried the whole way home. I wanted to bring him home, but I just didn't know how I was going to do it. Mm-hmm. And so it was just constant, changing diapers, feeding babies. Our whole lives were around what happens.
And they don't all have to have their diapers changed at the same time. I mean, as soon as one gets clean, the other one,
Right.
and as soon as one gets the other. Is that the way it works? They don't all decide at one time.
Unfortunately, they don't.
Can you imagine if all kids in the world went at the same time all the time?
Wouldn't that be great?
It wouldn't be great for mothers and fathers. Do you resent at all? Do you resent? You say you felt you cried when you had to bring number 3 home. And I'm sure you love all the babies very much, but I would imagine there's got to be some kind of built-in anger that I don't know, or resentment that your life has been so disrupted and changed. Was there any, or am I incorrect?
I think there was a lot of feelings, but having a baby die was an experience that made us, I think, appreciate the other babies more. And we really wanted a baby, but for some reason, God gave us all these. And we enjoy them, but there are times when we say, you know, gee, it's our whole life.
Certainly is your whole life. And you said that when Eric first came home, you'd have to spend the night up watching. Was there a fear? Is there always this kind of fear that maybe something will happen to one of them? Maybe, you know, the sudden infant death syndrome, that kind of thing you worry about?
In the beginning, because they were in an intensive care unit with one nurse to them at all times, hooked up to monitors and everything, and they were so well taken care of, I just thought, how can I take care of them like that? But they stressed when we took them home, they're like any normal baby now. They're okay. They're tiny, but they're okay. And so at first we were worried about them just because all that they had been through.
And how did your daughter Jenny feel about all of this? I mean, how did you prepare her for not another little baby brother or baby sister, but 4 more?
Well, I think it was probably difficult for her. She went to school and she said that her mom was going to have 5 babies and nobody believed her. And I think it was a little difficult for her bringing them all home after being an only child for so long. But she was at an age where she falls more into an adult role, and the 3, Mom, Dad, and Jenny, kind of stick together and you know, group together.
Well, she's a very grown-up 8-year-old, and you're going to have an opportunity to meet her in just a few minutes after this break. If you have any questions at all about Janice, if you're raising a lot of children yourself, quints, twins, triplets, quadruples, who knows? 481-1313 is the number to call. Let us into your nursery, and we'll be right back. Don't go away. Granata. She will be 9 years old on next June the 18th, and she is like a mother to her brothers and sisters. And let's welcome her. People in Clarkson.
What do you like best about, or worst about, having all these brothers and sisters?
Like them best because you can always play with them.
You can always play with them?
Yeah.
Do they never get on your last nerve, or your first one?
Sometimes.
Sometimes?
Not usually.
Not usually?
How did you feel when you found out that instead of having a brother or a sister, you were going to have 4 new ones?
Well, just shocked, and I loved it.
And you have been like a mother. Your mother says you have been like a mother. Take just a little time and tell us some of the things that you do to help Mom take care of your brothers and sisters.
Well, I get bottles for them, and I entertain them. My mom's cooking some supper sometimes.